Today's episode is going to be finishing the suspension in Not Your Grandpa's Golf Cart, but I had a friend that gave me keys to that, and I'm out here. So you guys enjoyed today's video. I'm going to go play. Let's do this.
Front end we go.
All right, we've got a comparison of new parts versus old parts. These are the new Super ATV 6-inch lift upper A-arms compared to the old ones. Obviously, those are trash. The suspension is old. Figured I might as well toss it in. These are, again, those Bronco shocks. New ball joints for the A-arms. Have to press those in. Those did not come with this lift. Hardware, all new hardware for the A-arms. The front ones were so rusted they all had to be cut off, so I bought all new hardware. Again, this cost this much. New bushings also did not come with the kit. They cost this much. New CV axle versus the old CV axle, obviously much mo better. Lower A-arm versus the old lower A-arm, also has the ball joint. Again, we're on these Rock Tricks wheels on the Terminator tires. We have got the longer steering rack arms, the boots to go over them to protect them, and the adapters to mount them in. You've got a bunch of adjustability for setting, caster and camber in the front end with this. That's a good thing. Old hubs are getting new wheel bearings, new brake lines for the lift, and the old brakes are getting new pads. Now, this tube and this filter box are actually supposed to be in here and routed up through here. Clearly that wasn't in a great place, so I think I'm actually going to take this and find a way to relocate it somewhere in here, probably about there, and that is going to get routed off the tubing here to go into that box because it'll put it in a safer place under the seat, and it just won't suck up as much crap. So I'm going to go ahead and throw you guys back on time-lapse. The current to-do list is upper and lower ball joints in the A-arms. Verify A-arm length is correct. Steering rack, suspension, shocks, bolts, bushings. Yep, but the whole front end. The list is the whole front end. So I'm going to go ahead and throw you guys back on the time lapse because I don't really think there's any more talking that I need to do, so now it's just time to work. For those of you who paid attention to what just happened in that time lapse, I fought with those boots, the driver's side boot, for 55 minutes. And then I went to put the passenger side steering boot on, and I very quickly realized there is a driver's side and a passenger side boot. I was trying to put the small boot over the big one. That was an absolute nightmare. Now, basic situational awareness and actually looking at my parts would have told me that there is two different sizes. Guys, I did the dumb. So I'm just gonna go back to doing work because that was painfully stupid. So on to the next part. Well, that was quite a process. The abridged version of what just happened in all of that time lapse is that the old wheel bearings actually split in half. They tore apart and came out in multiple pieces. They were shot. So I've pressed the old ones out, tore them out, beat them out, soaked them out, smashed them, did hammer, chisel, mallet things, and they are now out. You saw the screw. If you ever have a Torx bit that strips out, the easiest way to get it out is to cut a crosshatch in it and use a large flathead screwdriver. I have this thing that has a leverage bar. It is absolutely amazing, and I love it. Now that these have all of their bearings off, I'm going to clean them up and start putting the new bearings in and then put everything back together. So, back to time lapse. Hola, mis amigos! This table is starting to get very empty, which is awesome because we're almost done. So, up next, we have to put the hub back in, connect the upper and lower A-arms on the new ball joints, hook the shock back up, run the brake line, put the brake caliper back on, hook the steering arm back up. Basically, we got to do a lot of hocus pocus up here in the front end. Same thing over here. All of that stuff has to get done. So I'm going to put you guys on this camera, send you back to the land of time lapse. I'll do... For those of you who have never put new brake pads in before, this will be a quick little lesson in brake pads. As you can see, the pistons in the caliper are pushed all the way out. To put the new brake pads in, you need to get the old brake pads out. The easiest way to recompress the pistons back in is to just use a C-clamp. Now, if you have a single piston, meaning there's only one of these tubes, if you have a single piston, you can just put it in the middle. If you have a dual piston like this, you have to go back and forth so that you don't apply uneven pressure. So we'll put a little bit there. We'll go to the back, do a couple turns there. You're going to slowly work those in until they're fully compressed. You do not want to pump your brakes when you have no brake pads in. If your caliper is off the car and you pump your brakes and the brake line is still hooked up, it will push those little cups out of the caliper. This is the caliper, those are the cups. If you apply brake pressure, it'll push those out. It'll pop the seal, and then you have to rebuild your caliper and get those cups back in, and it is a huge mess. So, don't touch your brake pedal when your caliper is not sitting over your rotor. All the way down. As you can see, those are now fully compressed, and all the way, the cups are pushed all the way back into the caliper itself. With this specific caliper, one of these compresses down. This one compresses down, and then the brake pads lift up and swing over and come off this side. That's not down far enough yet. Maybe. No. So we're going to push that in a little bit using that C-clamp again. Now those are slide pins. It's the reason that your brakes have slide pins. Alright, you can see that compressed again. Now there should be enough for that to pop right off. Yep, there it goes. Give it a little bit of love. And that is how these pads come off. These pads are, yeah, they're cooked. We'll get all the mud and dirt out of there. Get the second one out. Yep, and there we go. Pads are out. And as you can see why they call those cups, those are literally just little cups, and they push your brake pads in. And the whole caliper itself moves on these slide pins so that you have room for rotation and adjustment, and your caliper will automatically move as your brake pads wear down. I'm going to throw you guys onto time lapse to throw the new pad. Nope, I have one more trick to show you. Now, to get these back in, this can be kind of a pain. So what we're going to do is we're going to throw this back on here. We're going to snug that till it's all the way down tight. And then we're going to grab a zip tie. We're going to throw a zip tie through here. What I'm doing here is holding this bracket down that pin is sitting in. So now you'll see when I take that clamp off, that's still nice and compressed, and we've got the gap to get the new pads in. Here's the new pads. I'm going to put something down to get all that mud out of the way. We're going to throw our new pads in. We're going to do the same deal as last time where we pop it on here, swing it over, and at the top, we've got to work it, and it pops right on. Now we're going to do the same thing. Make sure that your pads are facing the correct direction, and if there's an inner and an outer, make sure you've got them in the right spot. Now that both of the pads are on, we're going to go ahead and grab a pair of side cutters, pop the zip tie, that popped back up, and now we can go put it on the UTV. Just like that, the front end is installed. She is sitting on all four corners on the ground on her own. As you can tell if you look at it from the front, we've got that same caster issue we had before, so I'm going to have to go ahead and adjust the length of the upper A-arms to pull the tops of both of these in so that the wheels sit straight like the rear. You can see this one's kicked out. If you look at the rear sits straight. Next up is to toss the box back on. Move this air box to a new location. Adjust the front. Tighten all of the hardware in the front. Torque everything to spec. Then we get to throw the new winch in, throw the bumper back on. I think I'm going to test drive it before then. It's 11:30 at night. I'm done for the night. I'll get back with you guys in the morning. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I'm going to end today's video off there. Seems like a good transition point. There's one more video of just working on stuff, and then we get to play with it. But I'm not going to leave you guys hanging. I'm going to go ahead and end off this video with just a slide of beauties, because it's finished. Thank you for watching. Whenever you're watching this, I hope you have a great day. I hope you have a great night. Go out and build something.